Students, today we're going to be making a pot of some cacti. So when we're doing this project, we're going to be focusing on what visual texture is and how we can create that. So before we get started, you'll need a white piece of paper, a pencil, eraser, and something to go over your pencil lines with. Okay? So when it comes to coloring, I use watercolor for this, but you can use what you have at home. Color pencil would be really nice because if you notice, I'm not just having it solid green. I'm kind of using some yellows in there, maybe even just a little brown, so it's not all one color. And you can also use, like, if you use color pencil, you can lightly shade in and maybe shade with a darker color pencil, a darker green, so you have that variety. But regardless, first step is going to be making the pot. So we did this, I can't put my finger on what project we did this for, but when we learned about cylinders, we have to start with an oval. Okay, so that's kind of like the hardest part, is making that oval. It has to be like a little below the halfway point because we want the majority of the paper to be the cacti. So in order to make our pot, we can kind of make it different than what's just here. We can have a more rounded pot, a more narrow pot. Let's go ahead and try to make more of a vase-like pot. So instead of having lines go straight down, and you always want to go from the middle of the U, because we want to create it to make it look like it's a 3D shape. So about halfway on the oval, go down, and then we gotta kind of repeat this curved shape in order to make it look like a curved form. Instead of the line being flat, the line should be curved. Okay, and then there's all different kind of cacti. There's, this round, tall, kind of lumpy. So you can kind of change it from there. I'm going to keep with the same setup I did the first time, but feel free to look at pictures of some cacti and switch that up. So I'm going to start from the edge of my pot, the front. So I'm going to make kind of this hill there, hill coming out, hill on top. Some of these cacti have these flower-like things on top. Just add a little bit of color. Okay, then I'm gonna make a rounded one going there. Have my long, tall one go up with that. Okay, so a little bit different from what I originally did. The important part is to erase the lines that are coming through. So really, you're only going to have these tiny spaces there. Okay, and now we're going to add the visual texture. So this is the important part with how do we create that. And for cacti, there's a bunch of different ways. My favorite is like kind of this barbed wire looking visual texture. And visual texture is how things feel, but since we can't actually feel this, we have to show what it looks like and how that look would actually feel on our hands. Probably not good. Okay, so I start with just like this little circle, thinking that it might have a soft spot here, and then just like a basketball, I would start with it being curved, and then once it goes the other direction, how we visually represent that is going the other way. Almost looks like a beach ball, doesn't it? So maybe I squeeze in one more there, and then my visual texture that I do is going to be with the X's. And I even kind of want to do it on this one because I want them poking out. Okay, so I continue that all the way. Same thing with the kind of like the basketball look, but instead of having it start with a circle there, I'm just going to come down. Maybe I'll only do 2 of these. And this I do spikes. That's my different way of doing visual texture. Now if you like one way better than the other, feel free to do more of those. You don't have to do a different kind of visual texture on every single cactus. Okay, and then for this I'll add lines there, maybe add some spikes going up and then going out. You get the idea. Also I could do it on the edge. Okay. For this guy, I just kind of did V's or check marks, however you want to look at it. So I just kind of figured out different lines, invisible lines I should say, to come across. I don't think they necessarily have to be that orderly for it to look good, but that's just how I've done it both times, and that's how I've liked it. Now, visual texture is one thing that I'm wanting to see when you're doing this. For this project, since you might not have paint, you don't necessarily have to do the background. So you don't have to color the background if you don't want to. I'm sure it would look really awesome if you did, but it's kind of hard to fill up that much space without some paint. So I'm looking for visual texture. I'm also looking for how you decorate the pot. So I kind of want some lines and designs. You guys know how big I am on that. So with this, I kind of use some circles, basically go in a flowy line. Then I use some horizontals, and I just kind of made this stained glass kind of look for the bottom. You can use anything from zigzags, from dotted, or that's more dashed, from like wavy. And you can add in shapes. You can even add like, I don't know, some flowers poking out. I'm not sure. You make it your own, okay? So that about does it. Make sure you outline your lines in Sharpie. If you wanted to just do the texture in Sharpie, you're free to do that, or whatever you have. It doesn't necessarily have to be Sharpie. Just outlining your lines looks a lot nicer than just pencil, okay? Anyways, I hope you're doing well. I miss you, and I will see you later. Bye.